Hey guys, Ariel over here, just down the property from Fineth. This is our new beehive, the one that we did our split, and we did a three-way split. If you watched that video, took 2 different batches of bees from our original hive down to this one, and this is now day something, I forget what, I'll have to look on my calendar. It's day, the queen should have hatched and been out on their mating flight, and possibly, if they started laying real fast, be laying baby bees in here. I'm wrong. This was only day 18 after doing the split, so at the very earliest, if the bees used like a 3-day-old egg to make the queen, which would be the latest age they can use, then she would have hatched and possibly been out on her mating flight, but really would be almost impossible for her to have started laying quite yet when this was filmed. So I did check on these guys once since I had done the split. I did not get any video of that, just to be sure that they actually got some queen cells going. That was like 4 days later, and I believe this side had 5 queen cells at the time, and this one had 7, and so I knew they were at least working to build themselves new queens with those little teeny new larvae or tiny eggs that we got from our queen who's in the original hive. I wasn't actually sure which hive she ended up in because I did not find her in that whole process. She could have been any one of the 3, but when I did that check at 4 days, both these guys had queen cells in, and the original hive had freshly laid eggs. So even though I still didn't see her, she must be in that one because she was laying. So we are now going to see what we've got going on here. This hive was originally had the busiest door for the first couple days. Now this one's way busier, and it's the busiest I've seen yet today. So that's interesting. We're just gonna see what these ladies are doing in here. And if you were wondering about, see if my smoker went out while I was getting the camera ready. It does look like it's gonna try to rain here, which would be lovely, but cooperates. I should get just a bee veil that I can wear when I just want to protect my face. I don't have one, so this is what I've got. So if I want to for sure protect my face, I gotta wear the whole bee suit. But they've been pretty chill. Just where it's a little bit windy, I decided to put it on because otherwise I did have one sting I got when the wind blew a bee into my hair and it got tangled up and it thought it was being attacked, and it was upset about that, which I can understand. So just because of the breeze, we're going to check on these with the suit on. Okay, so that is still looking pretty much like the empty frame of wax that I gave them originally. Gonna set that out of our way here since there's not much on it, so we have room to move these other frames over one. So again, this divider board is giving me the line between the 2 hives, and that frame looks pretty much the same. That's still just wax that they haven't really done any work on. Now neither of these hives are going to have had many worker bees yet because they aren't going to have had any new babies being laid. This one I can see a little bit of, they've been drawing some wax on it. Not a lot of work done, but they've started on it a tiny bit. And again, I'm not expecting to see a ton of work done in here since until their new queen starts laying new workers, they're not going to have lots and lots of workers. So I want to disturb them as little as possible. That frame definitely, I guess I'll show you. This frame, they've definitely been drawing the foundation out. I don't know how well the camera's picking that up, especially on that side. That's the closest one, and they've formed a lot of cell there, so they've been busy on that one. Good job, ladies. I do like how these horizontal hives work, where they top bars are fully sealed, so even though I have both hives, on the 2 sides here open, only whichever frame hole I have is actually open, unlike frames where they can come and go from the whole top as soon as I take the lid off. So that's just, I think it maybe makes them less disrupted when I do this, because they feel like the hive's less disturbed. Okay, here we got a frame that is honey, sealed honey at the top, and nectar, which is turning into honey down below that, and a little pollen. And I believe that is the original frame that looks similar to that when I gave it to them, if I haven't lost track here. When we move these guys into here. So now we're getting to where they're actually working on stuff. And it is a little overcast here, so it's hard to tell, but you can probably see the tree behind me. This hive spot is a little more shaded and sheltered than our original one. There again, I've got finished sealed honey on top and a lot of nectar down below. That's what I've got on both sides there. And that is kind of nice for the bees. Somebody had asked about the insulation in a hive like this and the sunshine. Oh, don't get yourself pinched there, little lady. There you go. It is a little sunnier and more exposed out there than I would like. I had planted 2 trees on each side of that hive before I even had bees in it. I was hoping for them to be bigger. They nearly died back to the ground. They are trying to grow out, so we'll see. But they're not currently doing what I had wanted, which was to produce some shade and shelter. We're hopefully going to plant some more of a windbreak there, but we haven't got to it yet. But also my goal was to have that hive, because I was hoping to have it actually full last spring, which didn't happen. We'll have, I wanted it out of the way of the whole building project at this end of the property with building Clay's shop and so on. So that's where I put it. There I've got some pollen, honey, and nectar. This frame I'm pretty sure had kind of the same thing on both sides. Not a lot of bright sun. I need to look closely. But this frame I'm pretty sure had some hatching brood on it when I put it in here. That would obviously be done hatching out by now. And so that it looks like they're refilling those cells with food for themselves. So that's good to see. Over here a little bit further in our hive. So this is the door that they're actively using. You can probably see that. Okay, now we got frame with brood. Let's see what I see here. So this had brood when I, put it in here. And on the side I'm looking at, a bunch have hatched. And there's still a few that are immature. Or, still capped and have not hatched yet. And on the other side that you guys were looking at a second ago, looks like pretty much the same thing. Oh, we got some actually hatching bees right now that I can see crawling out. I'm going to see if they don't get too mad at me if I can show that to you guys. So again, this was brood from the original hive, but can you see in the middle there some of those caps? Somebody's chewing their way out right now. So that's a hatching baby bee. Or, well, it's hatching, and so now it's an adult bee. So that's good to see. That, I believe, was the frame that was little teeny weeny larvae that looked like little white maggoty grubs when I moved them over here. So they have, in the intervening time, matured, and now they are hatching. Excuse me, ladies. Let's push that together. There you go. So now this frame should be the one that has our queen cells on it, because it was the one that had eggs on it when I put it in here. So we're going to see what we find there. So on this side everything looks hatched out. Well, maybe I'm remembering wrong. I don't see any evidence of a queen cell there. All I see is honey, nectar, and pollen. No, actually, now that I'm remembering, and this one should have been an empty frame when I put it in here. That looks like they've done a little bit of comb drawing on, but not much. So, okay, what I'm seeing is, now that I remember right, that was empty. This one would have had brood in it. It should have been this one before that had 5 queen cells on it when I last was in here. Okay, actually now that I look closer, I see one that's open. And another one that's chewed out. Well, I missed that my first time. Like I see, I'm still very much learning. So I got some bees clustering here. I see a drone. Get my smoker going and then get the camera going. I don't always have it cooperating the way I want it by the time doing that. Okay, so I'm seeing a chewed out queen cell, which is when the first queen hatches, she would try to kill all of her sisters so that she will be the only queen, and I'm just trying to see if I see any evidence of a queen anywhere on this frame that's actually hatched. She could be out on her mating flight today, that's possible. I'm seeing worker bees. Hatching workers. So if this hive did not successfully create themselves a queen, or she could have gone off on a mating flight and been eaten by a bird or something like that, then I will, yeah, there's another, so there's 2 of my queen cells that are chewed fully open. If there is no queen in here, then I can still save this hive by giving them a new frame of eggs off of my original hive where they could rear themselves a queen again. But she also could be here without me seeing her. No, I almost wish it was bright and sunny, as tired as I am of that weather. Just so I could clearly see. It's so hard to see through this bee veil. But I don't believe I'm seeing any evidence of egg laying. If I saw new eggs, I would know that she had successfully hatched and been out on a mating flight and started laying eggs. Now, it'd be a little early for her to for sure be laying. Some queens start faster than others. But I do not see either a queen or eggs on that frame, but I do see the chewed open queen cells. Let me double check, since my observational skills are still in training here. Be sure on this one before that I did not miss any eggs that were actually laid. But no, I am pretty sure that I'm seeing empty cells, pollen, nectar. If I've got a queen, she's like her mother and being very, very sneaky and won't let me find her. So overall, the bees that were babies when I put these frames in here appear to have either hatched or be in the process of hatching, which is what I expected. And excuse Excuse me, ladies, I want to put that back together without squishing you. And the queen cells are open, but Zipper, you're going to get yourself stung. I don't know if you guys can see Zipper rubbing around my feet, but it's probably not the best choice of places for him to be. Double check this one again. And I see workers working on honey and nectar. Do not see any evidence of eggs. Which would tell me I have a queen. We don't see a queen. Okay. So, I'm not sure if that hive successfully made themselves a queen or not. They might have. I might very well just not be seeing her. I have not seen the queen in my original hive since the day I unpacked them out of their nucleus I bought, but she's clearly there because she's been very busy laying eggs. So there could be one in here and I just haven't seen her. Or she could have something came out of those queen cells because they're empty. But she could have gone off on her mating flight and something happened. She could be back and simply not yet laying eggs, and I just haven't found her. I'm not sure. We may have to consider adding a new little batch of eggs into here from my original hive. And if I do that, if they don't have a queen, they should create queen cells on that. If they do have a queen, then they should just raise those to be more worker bees, and that would kind of give me an answer when I check again in a few days. So I'm not sure what's going on that side. Let's see what's going on this side. Now this is going to be just, oh, sorry ladies, didn't mean to jerk at that abruptly. This should be just the reverse of what was going on the other side. So again, that's a frame of wax that they haven't really done much work on. Set that just out of the way. It's sitting on, if you can't see, the lid of the hive, which was a good tip my father gave me. Just so we have room to move the rest of these over. So again, it's reverse of the other one. That's another frame of wax that I can see they've done a teeny weeny bit of drawing the wax, but not much. There, I jerked that a little bit, and that made them a little bit upset. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. This next frame, again, has more work on drawing out wax. It's actually fairly drawn out. So this one is appearing to have done a little bit more work than the other side. Let's take a look at this frame. We've drawn a lot of wax there. There's a lot more bees in this hive. I can tell you that just by opening it up and looking down in there. So we got some nectar. Just looking real close to be sure there's not something I'm missing. Nectar and wax still. Had to do a new camera battery. Okay. Back to what we're doing here. I'm seeing a bunch of honey at the top of this frame, which I think was one that had some honey and nectar on it when I gave it to them. Removed it from the old hive. So yes, indeed, I see honey, nectar. Just double checking here on my eyesight. Honey, nectar, pollen. Do not see any evidence of any baby bees there. Well, let's give it back to you the way you guys had it. Don't rearrange your living setup. This next frame, I'm also seeing a good bit of honey at the top. This one still has some brood. Okay, right there I see at least 2 chewed open queen cells. A little bit of brood that hasn't hatched yet that would have been part of the eggs. Ooh, there's a nicely exited queen cell. Let me see if I can show you guys that. Okay, so this was the frame that would have had the teeny weeny eggs on it when I put it in here. Because it's, I think, going to be the only one that doesn't have its brood fully hatched. See this like peanut shape right here? And see how it's open at the bottom? I would say that that is the one, that's a queen cell that the queen hatched out of. Then, from what I know, I'd say she came over here, and among other things, here was 2 more peanut-shaped cells. See how they're not open from the bottom, but from the side? She hatched first on the other side, and came right over and chewed in there and killed her sisters, so that she could be the only queen. So, that one definitely looks like a clearly successfully hatched queen to me, which I didn't see one quite that clean and neat on the other side, the other hive. And we've still got, you know, a little bit of cap brood there that hasn't hatched yet. That was probably the very, very last of the new eggs that were on there when I had done the split. So let's see what else we got going on here. More honey on top. These frames are actually heavy. Oh no, we got more brood here. It's capped. Hadn't hatched yet. That must have also been very young larvae when I moved it. Just looking in the empty cells around it. See 2. Well, there was another queen cell in there, and it's also chewed through from the side. I don't know if you guys can see that right there. Like the first queen would have crawled in and killed the virgin queen in there. And a little bit more cap brood on this side. Whatever I'm describing, of course, is the opposite of whatever you guys were just looking at. That's the easiest way to set the camera up. And I see worker bees doing their thing. So there's some brood still hatching. That's probably why this hive door has gotten real busy just in the last day. Let's see what we got here. Oh man, that's a heavy frame. Honey, pollen, nectar. One of these, actually this one for sure would have had brood on it when I moved it over here, so that's stuff they've hauled in since I did the split, after the babies hatched out. I'm just looking to see if I can see any evidence of a queen walking around. Queens don't look a whole lot different than worker bees, but a little bit. They do, their bodies are a little bit longer, but not big and fat like the drones. And they have mostly a longer abdomen and a little bit shinier back of their head. That all looks like honey work going on from what I can see. Now, of course, on this side, all the same things apply. Even if we had a successful queen hatch, there's a good chance she's not yet laying eggs. Don't know. Or something could have happened to her while she was out on her mating flight. Ooh, that one's really heavy. Look at how much of the top of that they've got loaded with honey. It's finished. When you see the white cap on top, that's finished honey. But once again, I'm seeing honey and nectar. If I saw any little new egg laid, I would know I had an active queen. And I don't. course, I could be missing them since I have done that before, but very actively working on building up stores in there. And this last frame was empty wax foundation when I put it in here. Let's see what they've done on it. Drawn a lot of foundation and starting to put some nectar inside. Okay, so I think what I'm gonna do, since I haven't for sure spotted a queen in either of these hives or see for sure evidence of there being an active one, like seeing new eggs being laid, okay guys, don't crawl up there right when I move them over, is that I'm probably going to go take 2 frames with little eggs from my original hive, which I have yet to go look inside, so maybe I'll change my mind. But from the outside, it has been humming so busy since I did this split that I can't even tell that I took all these frames out of it. So presuming that queen, I did look in it on day 4 like these and determined, you know, my original queen must still be there because she was had been actively laying new eggs. So presuming there's still plenty of new eggs, I think what I'm going to do is take 2 frames of new eggs from there and put 1 on each side here, and then in a few days I'll have to check again. If they're just raising those to be little worker bees, then I will know that they've got a queen in there doing something. If they try to raise new queen cells, I'll know that they did not and they're in need of a queen. So I'm going to shut the camera down, go check on the other hive, and then we'll see what we have got from there. In the meantime, I'm just going to put this lid back on top. Oh, back to what I was saying about insulation and stuff. These hives are very well insulated. They're not just a thin sheet of wood. They have 1.5 inches of wool insulation on all sides, which is good for my cold climate, but of course it also helps them stay cooler in the heat. So we're going to go see what we got going on in the other hive and then come back to our new guys here. Okay, I'm back. Had a look in the other hive. Everything looks to be doing good in there. I've actually been back here once in between. This is my second trip across the property. So I did this already on the other side. Took out one of my very end ones here that was pretty much still just empty foundation that they hadn't done anything on yet. And replaced it with a frame of that included, sorry, it's sometimes hard for me to talk and think and look at the same time, a frame that included little teeny eggs from the other hive. This is another one like that. I can see teeny weeny new eggs on there, on both sides actually, as well as a lot of honey up at the top. And I made sure the queen from that hive was not on it. I actually saw her this time. And so we're going to drop that right into the middle of their brood area. So in another 4 or 5 days I'll be able to check again and see if we see eggs being laid. Then I'll know that either one of these that has an active queen who's successfully hatched, gone on her mating flight, and started laying, which it's very possible, one other drone, that they both have right now. Well, except they haven't started much active laying yet, but I would be day-wise very borderline on them just possibly starting to lay. So I don't know. So just in case, as in my mind, the easiest way to find out for sure, plus be sure they'll be okay if they did not end up with successful queen, or if a bluebird ate her while she was out on her mating flight, or whatever the case might be, then they will have an option of a way to raise more babies, or have babies and raise them into queens. And either way, they'll just have some more worker bees. So that is our check-in on our new 2 new colonies. And overall, they look like they're doing, well. They seem active and healthy, and just not entirely sure about the queen. And that's the, I need a flatter rock for this lid. That's a question I was hoping to answer today, and I don't quite have an answer. That's where we're at right now. For real, folks, the second I turn the camera on, the wind picks up. Anyway, this is 4 days later after what you just watched. And we are going to see if that frame of baby teeny weeny eggs that we put in last time, if there has been any evidence of building queen cells. And that's basically all I'm planning to check today. I know for sure which one it is on this side, because I remembered to mark it and I forgot on the other side. So let's see if I can guess correctly. Just pull this one out without disturbing everybody else. Did a lot of propolising. Man. 4 days. I know, ladies. Just want to be sure you guys have a queen. All we're checking on here. Got little grubby larvas. Sorry for the camera, it just takes me a minute to look close and be sure I know what I'm looking at. Those larvae are just being raised as regular grubs. I don't know if you can see that, the very center, depending how it catches the light. On that one, in the very center. It's hard to see sometimes depending on the angle, and it's really hard for me to see what the camera's getting through the bee veil. But looks like they just decided those eggs need to be worker bees. I don't see any evidence of a queen cell going on. So they must think they've got a queen in there. So that hive thinks they have a queen. That's my best conclusion. Let's do the same thing on this side. It's easiest to pull one of these frames that I know is mostly empty still, so that I have room to maneuver. Now on this side I'd forgot to mark which was my new frame of eggs that I put in, so we'll see if I can remember correctly. I have to check a few. Be sure. I think it's this one or one of the ones on the side of this one. Yeah, that was right. This one, because I see little grubs. That up here, all be being raised as brood. Getting that. This one you might be able to see the grubs better between the crawling bees than the other one. I'm not sure. If I turn it at that angle, can you see any of those little white maggoty looking things down inside? Once again, I can't tell at what angle the camera can best capture that. And on this side we've got even smaller larvae. Again, if you can see that down in there, little maggot looking things. Some of them are really teeny, sitting in their baby food at the bottom of the cell. Anyway, so they are raising all them as workers. So once again, I'm going to assume that means these guys are comfortable with the idea that they have a queen and don't need one, which is good to see. They must be comfortable with having a queen in both of these colonies, since they haven't had any urge to raise a new one, even though I'm not yet seeing her activity. I'll probably give them a week or so here before I go poking my nose into their business again, which at that point I would be doing just to satisfy myself that I can indeed find eggs at that point. Since from their behavior it seems that they believe that they have a queen and they're not worried about life. So that's our peek into the hive today. The main reason I personally want to be so on top of this is because I know it's still hot and sunny right now, but we're already almost a week into August, and if they don't successfully get a new queen, I'm going to have to be recombining them with the former hive, because we've only got about a month left of summer. Usually starting in early September, we have snow, sometimes snow on the ground that does not leave until next spring. So I know it feels like summer, but here summer is almost over, so they've only got a little bit of time to do their work yet for this year. That's why I wanted to be really sure they were able to make a new queen as fast as possible if they'd had any issues.
We hope you enjoyed it.
Come back next time for more adventures.
Thanks for watching.